Hello and welcome once again to Inland Empire Alive, where we bring you issues, events, and perspectives from throughout Riverside and San Bernardino counties. I'm David Brady, and today I'll welcome Bruce Herwig and Frank Peel from the Redlands Camera Club to talk about some of their activities and the creative ways they've adapted during COVID. That's today on Inland Empire Alive. Well, here with me now is Frank Peel and Bruce Herwig of the Redlands Camera Club. Gentlemen, thank you for being on the program. So we will start with Frank. Frank, I understand you are the club's veteran in more ways than one, if you'll allow me the pun. Talk to me about how the club started.
As a matter of fact, the origins of the Camera Club go back almost to the beginning of photography for practical use. Before 1877, photography involved dark tints, noxious chemicals, and hand coating those chemicals on a glass plate, and then photographing the glass on the glass plate before the chemicals dried. In 1877, George Eastman invented the dry plate, which made it possible for photography to be semi-portable. It didn't any longer take a mule to carry the equipment. But following that, in 1888, Eastman invented the roll of film, flexible film, and a camera that it could go in called the Kodak #1. And that was the beginning of practical photography. Now people could take pictures of their families, they could take pictures on vacation. And just 8 years after Eastman's invention, the Redlands Camera Club was founded in 1896 by a group of photo enthusiasts. It has become what we believe to be the oldest continually operating photo enthusiast group in the West.
Zoom has opened up possibilities for both participation and speakers, rather than having to only pull from a local pool of in-speaker presenters. We've been able to have speakers from all over the United States, from the East Coast and the Midwest, who've been able to share their expertise with our members.
Now, Frank, for you, how did you get started in photography? Was it a hobby or more of a vocation? Because I know you were a photographer for the Navy for a long time.
Yes, when I was 13 years old, I shot my first commercial assignment on a big old 4x5 speed graphic. My dad was in the Navy as a photographer, and I followed in his footsteps. I had a 30-year career in the Navy, and before I retired from the Navy in Washington, D.C., I had already joined the Redlands Camera Club. Legendary Redlands photographer Art Miller roped me in, and it's been a wonderful journey. I've had the privilege of serving as the club's president 4 times, and I'm glad to see younger leadership coming along. In fact, one of the hallmarks of the club is that even though we have a long history, and even though some of our members are of an age, the club's outlook and philosophy is young. We adopt new technologies. We sometimes lead the field, and really proud to see people like Bruce take the reins and make the club even better.
Well, as folks who have been photographers for quite a while, how has that technological evolution changed? I mean, certainly it's much more accessible. Everybody carries a camera in their cell phone.
It's really amazing how it has changed. I mean, you remember film, right? And you get the 24 pictures.
And you had to make that one frame count in front of the castle at Disneyland, and then you took one frame somewhere else, and if the thumb was in it.
And if you got that bonus extra click there. And then as it transitioned to digital, which revolutionized things. My first digital camera was, we talked about megapixels. It was 1/4 of a megapixel. And so I've been at the very frontier of digital photography, and then it moved to 5 megapixels and then 10 megapixels, and it just, the number
But in spite
growing.
of all of that, how do you overcome the person who says, I can't take a good picture, I don't know, f-stop, shutter speed, I don't know all those numbers and dials? Because it has gotten easier, but it's still so intimidating to so many people.
It can be, Frank.
That's one of the great things about the Camera Club. We have people seeking membership who are looking for advice on buying their first camera. And we have people who've been professional photographers. And it's a really good mix because we all learn from each other. And unlike some photographic groups that I could name, There are no secrets in the Redlands Camera Club. Everybody realizes that we all benefit by sharing our knowledge. And so those who don't even know what kind of camera to buy will get great benefit from their experience in the camera club.
Well, you may have answered my next question. Is that one of the benefits of joining a club? Because I would think some people may say, well, isn't photography a very solo endeavor? It's, you know, there's not two people pushing the button, but like you said, it's, that body of knowledge, that sharing of tips and tricks and, the right time of light, the right spot to stand,
Yes.
The Farmer's Almanac of where to catch the eclipse,
There is so much more than a solo person running out. I mean, you can go out by yourself,
Sure.
but group opportunities where we're all going to go to the same place. One of the things I find fascinating is you have 10 photographers go to the same place and not one of the photos is the same.
Well, now, is that something that I've seen where photographers will do that? There will be a challenge where they will all essentially be given an assignment to photograph an area or a monument or something, and then you see the diversity of visions and views. Is that talk to me about some of the competitions and the programs that you put on?
Right. Well, competitions are a big part of our club, where we have the opportunity to get professional judges who have great insight, who members put it on display and really put their ego out there on the line and have an opportunity to hear some real critiques about maybe you could change this, maybe you can change that, which helps everybody up their game.
Even those who don't feel themselves quite ready yet to compete learn by listening to the judges' comments and relating to the images that are on the screen. It's a great learning experience for all, and not all of our learning experiences are local. For example, we took a 2-night trip to Sacramento to photograph in the State Railroad Museum. You can't take a tripod into the State Railroad Museum unless you're 10 Redlands Camera Club members and you make special arrangements. Same is true of the March Field Air Museum. You can't take a tripod in there. And as you may know, museums tend not to be the brightest lighted places. So a tripod is kind of essential. But if you're 10 Redlands Camera Club members, you can get special arrangements and take a tripod in. So there are many opportunities to up your game in photography in this organization.
So talk to me about how folks can find out about the organization, how they can join, how they can learn more.
Right. Well, redlandscameraclub.com
Org.
is org. Okay,
Or
org.
either one.
Oh, both. Okay.
Actually-
We're going to put that up on the screen. Redlandscameraclub.com. Is there a fee to join? Is there an age minimum?
There are no age minimums. In fact, we have had one member who was a high school junior when he joined, and he is now a professor of photography in a university in Florida. Dues are $35 a year, and you can get that back in the experience you get from just one meeting. And we always welcome visitors. One does not
Okay.
have to join to participate in club activities, except for competitions and field trips. But to come and experience the programs and experience the camaraderie, the sharing of knowledge, we welcome anyone of any age at any time.
How big has your membership gotten at its peak?
Before the pandemic, we celebrated having 120 members.
Oh, wow.
There was a drop-off in the pandemic, as you might imagine. In fact, some of our members dropped off permanently, I'm sorry to say. Our membership now is rebuilding.
And then tell me the frequency that you meet. It's on a particular schedule, so people can
Right.
kind of
We
know.
meet twice a month. The first Monday of the month is an in-person meeting right now.
Where does that typically take place?
And that's happened at the
First Presbyterian Church in Redlands.
Okay.
Yep. And then the third Monday of the month is a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
And so you can find the information online, and we have links to that Zoom meeting. And you can jump in, participate. We have a half hour ahead of time, which is a social chit-chat time. Ask your questions, get input, share your photos, and really build that camaraderie. And then hear top-level speakers from all over the United States.
Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you a philosophical question. What is it about photography that speaks to each of you? Of all the pastimes, of all the things you could devote so many hours, what is it about photography?
I grew up in photography. As I mentioned, I started at a very young age. It has been my life. My 30 years in the Navy were all in photography. I established a practice in commercial photography when I retired from the Navy. I've retired from that now, and I'm still active in photographic organizations of a professional nature at the state and local level, and very active in the Redlands Camera Club. What photography means to me is the ability to express myself and to grow in the process.
Nelda Stuck of Redlands asked me one time, do you take pictures for the art of it or for the historical significance of it?
The documentation.
Yeah. And I said, it's for the art of it. But if you hold the picture long enough, it becomes part of history. You know, there are pictures that I've taken where you can't get anymore because they painted something,
Sure.
they took down the tree, they made different changes. And so the opportunity to get out of the house is just one of my favorite things, to go into nature and experience that in a unique way.
Well, it's one of the things I've always thought was so astonishing, that when human beings found the ability to freeze a moment in time and experience it again. I mean, just how astounding that must have been to be able to capture a moment and see it again.
Right.
Yes.
And it's not so much what you take, it's the photograph you make.
Well,
And
that's a good question. Maybe we should end on that. How much of it is in the camera and how much of it happens after what happens in the camera?
It's always been split between the camera and post-processing. Post-processing until recently meant getting your hands wet in the darkroom.
Fixer and chemicals.
Those wonderful
and,
smells.
Yeah.
Love the smell of hypo in the morning. Now, the darkroom is going to be on someone's desk in a computer. And one can do everything in post-processing on a computer that you could do in the darkroom and more. There are still some people who believe that if it doesn't happen in the camera, it shouldn't happen at all. And that's a legitimate outlook. There are others who feel that they do their best work in refining in post-production what they did in the camera.
There's always what you see,
Sure.
and then there's what you see.
Yes.
And then capturing what you see, and then capturing what you feel. And if you can capture what you feel, that's really going to be one of those things that makes people take notice and say, ah.
Another lesson from Ansel Adams, pre-visualize.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.